Chapter 11. Agriculture and Major Crops. Reading Objectives. Agriculture. Factors influencing agriculture. Types of agriculture. Major crops. Agricultural development. Agriculture in India. As the mineral and power resources are important for the development of a country, agriculture is also important for economy and for fulfilling our daily needs. About half of the globe is engaged in agricultural activities. Farming is an economic activity or business for some people to earn their living. These people changed the earth's natural resources to man-made resources. As these people use the natural resources directly from the earth, these activities are called primary activities, for example, extracting iron ore or growing of crops. Let us know about agriculture, factors affecting the agriculture, its type and major crops. Agriculture. What do you understand by agriculture? It is the process of land cultivation, growing of crops, fruits and vegetables, and rearing of livestock. Agriculture is also called farming. It is the general practice or activity. About half of the total world population is engaged in crop and cattle raising directly or indirectly. Agriculture includes both crop cultivation and animal domestication. While modern technology has changed methods of farming, early man depends on nature for their agricultural activities. Cultivation has played a great role in climate, and water has always been the backbone of agriculture. Enrich yourself. Rice farming in India. The botanic name of rice is Oryza sativa. Circumstances indicate that rice must have originated from somewhere in China or India. Rice is the staple food of 65% of the population of India and forms 90% of the total diet. India is indeed the world's second largest rice producer, producing 20% of the world's total production. In India, the following climate conditions are suitable for rice cultivation. Climate. The monsoon climate stays 20 degrees Celsius with a long wet season, plenty of moisture available for growth, followed by dry, sunny weather which is ideal for ripening and harvesting. Flat land. It is ideal for paddy fields as it stops water draining away, allowing rice to grow in it. Fertile soil. It increases productivity and good crops are grown. Water supply. Plentiful water usually available due to the monsoon climate. Large labor force. Rice farming is labor intensive and provides direct employment to about 70% of the working people in India, where large numbers of workers are available. The characteristics of rice farms have also changed dramatically due to the Green Revolution. Climate has played a great role in the cultivation of crops. Water has always been the backbone of farming. It is due to the fact that early civilizations and settlements were established close to rivers, so that water is made available for crops. Factors influencing agriculture. There are various factors affecting agriculture which can be studied in detail as under climatic conditions. Climate controls the pattern of agriculture around the world. The degree of heat, the duration and intensity of sunshine affect the germination of seeds and crop maturity. Temperature is especially required during the ripening of crops. Different crops need different patterns of humidity and evaporation. The content of moisture varies during sowing, growing, and harvesting. The temperature and rainfall in an area determine the type of crop that can be grown. For example, a crop, like rice, need hot and wet climate or heavy rainfall, while certain crop, like wheat, need lower temperatures and lesser rainfall. Relief. The type of landform plays a vital role in the kind of crop to be cultivated. For example, plains or lowlands are more suitable for cultivating than hilly areas. Plowing by machines and harvesting is easy in the plains. Availability of water is also easier in the plains than the hilly areas. Coffee and tea can, however, grow well in the hilly areas. Soil. Soil consists of various minerals and organic substances which are the lifelines of the plants. Thus, there can be no agriculture without soil. Deep, fertile, and well-drained soils are ideal for most kinds of crops. For example, clay soils retain water which is suitable for rice and cotton crops. That is why, the alluvial soil of deltas from major agriculture regions of the world. Economic factors. Generally, three kinds of economic factors affect agriculture. One is the operational costs, like labor, seeds and fertilizer and pesticide. Second is the marketing of crops that include transportation and storage of crops, etc. And finally the impact of government rules and regulations. However, these factors do not affect the farmers where the fields are owned by the government. Types of agriculture. The types of agriculture in the world are grouped according to the characteristic features of the crops and the means adopted to cultivate them. The main types of agriculture practiced in different parts of world by different communities are nomadic farming. Nomadic farming refers to the practice of farming in which herdsmen move from one place to another with their herds of animals and their families in search of pasture, fodder and water. Nomadic herding is practiced in many parts of Africa. Some herdsmen in parts of Turkey, Iran, Afghanistan, and Pakistan still lead a nomadic life and practice this kind of herding. Now the nomads have started living a settled life and gradually the practice of nomadic herding is diminishing. Shifting cultivation. This type of farming is also known as the simple substance farming. It is a primitive method of farming practiced by the tribal communities in tropics, especially in Africa and Southeast Asia. In this method, people clear the forest by cutting and burning the required area. The ashes produced by burning vegetation are added to the soil for fertility enrichment. This is also called slash cultivation. Very small patches are developed for cultivation and cultivation is done with the help of primitive tools. A few crops are grown in the same patch of forest for 2 or 3 years, after which the land becomes infertile. The infertility of the soil is due to high leaching, a process in which water drains away salts and mineral soil. Usually, the farmers grow food for their families and not for commercial purposes. Since shifting cultivation is practiced in different regions of the world, it has different names. It is called milpa in Central America and some parts of Africa, conuco in Venezuela, roca in Brazil, masol in Congo, ladang in Malaysia, huma in Indonesia, kangan in Philippines, Tongya in Myanmar, Tamrai in Thailand and Chena in Sri Lanka. Intensive subsistence cultivation. It is also known as Oriental agriculture. This cultivation generally is practiced on both wet lowlands and terraced uplands to feed dense populations. Manure, like cow dung, household wastes, fertilizer and night soil are used. The farmer tries to get the maximum possible output from a small piece of land. Farming is so intensive that in the same year 2 and 3 crops are sown on the same ground. Paddy is the main crop. However, other food crops, like sorghum and millet, are also grown. This type of agriculture is found in the monsoon regions of Asia. The countries involved in this type of farming are China, Japan, India, Pakistan, Sri Lanka, Java, Luzon, Sumatra, Malaysia, etc. Extensive cultivation. It is prevalent in those countries which are abundant in cultivable land, but are less populated. In this method, a large area of land is used, but the amount of capital and labor is smaller than the size of land use. The characteristics of the extensive cultivation are large farms, tractors, highly mechanized cultivation, trucks, diesel pumps, one quality of wheat, etc. Mainly wheat is cultivated on a very large scale and exported. The prairies of Canada and America, velds of Africa, downs of Australia, and steppes of Eurasia are the places where this recently developed type of agriculture is practiced. Plantation of cultivation. This is the commercial agriculture farming. Europeans had introduced the plantation agriculture in the tropical and subtropical regions. The main crops cultivated are rubber, oil palm, cotton, and coconut. Among the beverages are tea, coffee, and cocoa, while fruits include pineapple and banana. Hemp and jute are cash crops in this type of agriculture. Since plantation cultivation is an individual concern, this is carried out in large estates. Heavy amount of money and cheap skilled labor are required in these estates, are thus scientifically managed like industrial units. The rubber plantations in Malaysia, coffee plantation in Brazil, tea plantations in India and banana plantation in West Indies are some examples of this type of cultivation. Mixed farming. When crops are grown and livestock raised at the same time, it is termed as mixed farming. The farmers grow cereals and vegetables along with fodder, oats, maize and root crops for their livestock. Along with crop cultivation, cattle, sheep, pigs and poultry are also reared. This provides greater economic security to farmers than single crop farming. Some industrial crops are also grown in mixed farming in addition to economically useful animals. Mixed farming is characterized by the use of machineries and tractors. It is mainly practiced in the European countries such as Britain, Argentina, North America and Netherlands. Livestock farming. Livestock farming means keeping herds of animals in specially designed places called ranches. People engaged in livestock farming own pastures and sow grasses themselves. They manage the ranches scientifically and do not migrate like the nomads. In this form of agriculture, the animals are generally raised for sale. The practice is common in Australia, Western USA and Tibet. In India, livestock farming is prevalent, to some extent, in the hilly regions that are rich in pasture. Dairy farming. It is highly intensive type of livestock farming. It has been developed to meet the needs of industrial cities. This cultivation in those areas where the climate is too humid for the cultivation of grain is the most important. Cattle are reared for milk near big cities to meet the needs of people working in factories and offices. It is commercially very useful. New Zealand, Denmark and Australia practice dairy farming, and they are the leading suppliers of dairy products such as butter, white cheese and milk. All Western countries including USA, Russia, UK, France, and Germany produce large quantities of milk and dairy products, but these are consumed locally. Gardening and horticulture farming. Market gardening is a feature of northwestern European countries, like Britain, Denmark, Belgium, Germany, Netherlands and northeastern USA. In this type of farming, farms are small and are located near the marketplaces or in the city or town to supply fresh produce to the local people. Vegetables are grown either in fields or in glass houses. Soil fertility is kept by using the compost and fertilizer. For high returns and more yields, market gardens are maintained scientifically. It is a fruit and flower growing on small plots of land for sale. Generally, these cities and towns are located near markets, where the plants or fruits can be sold. Proximity to markets prevents these perishable goods from going waste. Cooperative farming. In this farming, the farmers pool their resources and manage the farms with the help of loan from cooperative banks. This is becoming popular in densely populated countries where the size of farms is very small and the farming done by individual farmers is not very economical. To overcome this problem, all fields are commonly held among farmers to divide agriculture activities. This helps to increase agriculture production and to raise the standard of living. Land is also worked collectively so the modern machines can be used in an effective way. Major crops. To fulfill the need for food, we cultivate crops. Crops not only meet the basic need for food, but also raw material for industries, like textile and sugar supplies. A large variety of crops are grown all over the world to fulfill the need of the increasing population. Crops are classified under the following categories: food crops, rice, wheat, maize, etc. Commercial crops, fruits, spices, sugarcane, etc. Beverage crops, tea, coffee, cocoa, etc. Fiber crops, cotton, jute, silk, etc. Rice. Rice is one of the major food crops which feeds more people in the world than many other cereals. As a food grain, rice is more nutritious in its unpolished state. It has been cultivated since time immemorial. Hundreds of rice species form only two groups, wet paddy and dry paddy. It is the staple diet of most people in the tropical and subtropical regions. Rice grows best when the temperature is around 27 degrees Celsius and an annual rainfall of above 100 centimeters. An ideal soil for growing rice is heavy clay or loamy soil that has a capacity of retaining moisture. Paddy needs nitrogen, phosphorus and potassium as fertilizer. There are about 65,000 known varieties of rice grown all over the world. The kharif crop need more water to grow. The fields are flooded in the initial days of growing season. The main producers of rice in the world are China, India, Bangladesh, USA, Japan, Korea, Sri Lanka, Brazil. In India, rice grown in the delta of the eastern coastal plains and in the Indo-Gangetic Valley. Wheat. Wheat is the grain, the flour of which is used to make bread, rotis, pasta and macaroni. This is another food and cereal crop that is grown in the mid-latitudes. Wheat grows best when temperature ranges from 15 degrees Celsius to 20 degrees Celsius and a rainfall 50 to 100 centimeters during the growing season. There are varieties of wheat which can grow in warm as well as cold temperatures. The wheat plant is taller and thicker than the rice plant. Wheat fields are usually quite large compared to the rice fields. It does not need much physical labor and is done with the help of machines. The crops also require a good amount of chemical fertilizer and insecticides. Wheat is grown extensively in the temperate grasslands, like the prairies, the steppes, the Downs, etc. USA, Canada, Australia, China, India, Argentina, Ukraine and South Africa are the largest wheat exporters. In India, wheat is grown in Punjab, Haryana and Uttar Pradesh during the winter season. Maize. It is the third grain after rice and wheat consumed by humans as their staple food. It originated in Latin America. Maize cultivation requires a moderate temperature of about 20 degrees Celsius to 32 degrees Celsius, and a rainfall of about 50 to 100 centimeters. It grows in a well-drained deep and fertile soil. The main maize-producing countries are USA, Russia, China, Brazil, Argentina, Mexico, Canada, South Africa and India. United States is the world's largest maize-producing country with nearly half of the total production. The United States is also the largest exporter. Millet. Coarse grains, like jowar, bajra, ragi, and sorghum are called millet. The nutritional value of these grains is lower than other cereals. These crops are grown in high temperature, low rainfall and less fertile and sandy soil. Tropical and subtropical regions of the semi-arid parts are best suited for the cultivation of millet. India, China, USA, Brazil, Nigeria, Niger and Egypt are the main millet-producing countries. In India, millet is mainly grown in the states of Rajasthan, Maharashtra, Gujarat, Uttar Pradesh and Haryana. Sugarcane. Sugarcane of tropical areas is very important commercial crop. It is grown as plantation crop as it needs more than a year to ripen. It grows to a height of about 3 meters or more. It is a kind of grass with a thick stem. Sugar in the stem of the sugarcane. New sugarcane plants grow from the stem cutting of the old plants. Sugarcane is grown in tropical lands with temperatures around 20 degrees Celsius and rainfall about 60 centimeters during the growing period. The well-drained soils with a mix of sand, silt and clay are ideal for this crop. Brazil, India and China are the leading producer of sugarcane. Other major producers are Thailand, Pakistan, Mexico, Colombia and Australia. In India, the leading sugarcane states are Karnataka, Uttar Pradesh, Bihar, Maharashtra, Andhra Pradesh, Punjab and Haryana. Tea. It is the most common and cheap universal beverage in the world. It is a tropical crop famous for its stimulating qualities. It is made from the leaves picked from the tea bushes from time to time. This plant is mainly grown on the hilly slopes of monsoon areas of Asia. Tea is believed to have been grown in China in the 6th century AD. It is grown as a plantation crop. Tea needs warm temperature of about 20 degrees Celsius and rainfall of 200 centimeters or more. Tea plantation is grown in hill slopes as they do not allow water to stagnate around the tea bushes. The leading producer of tea are China, India, Sri Lanka, Kenya, Turkey and Indonesia. In India, the leading tea-producing states are Assam, West Bengal, Darjeeling, Tamil Nadu, Nilgiris, and Karnataka. Coffee. Coffee is a non-alcoholic beverage grown in Latin America and the Caribbean countries. It was first found in Kaffa district of Ethiopia, which gives it the name coffee. From Ethiopia it was taken across the Red Sea into Saudi Arabia. Coffee needs an average temperature of about 22 degrees Celsius and an abundant moisture between 150 to 250 centimeters. It is grown in well-drained loamy soil with high humus content derived from igneous rocks. Coffee plants are sheltered from direct sun when young. Therefore, shady trees are planted in the plantations to give shade to the coffee plants. Brazil is the largest producer and exporter of coffee in the world. In India, coffee is produced in Karnataka, Kerala and Tamil Nadu. Cocoa. Cocoa is the fruit of a plant from which both drinks and chocolate are made. The cocoa plants are mainly grown in tropical America. It was first seen growing as a wild plant in the lowlands of Central America. It is also found in Amazon. The cocoa tree is an evergreen tropical plant which grows to a height of 4.5 to 9 meters. It bears flowers in the third year after planting. The plants come to full bearing after 5 to 8 years. It continues to yield for as long as 30 years. Cocoa is extracted from the seeds, beans, of the plant. Cotton. Another important fiber crop is cotton. Cotton is derived from the seeds hairs of plants, and after the cotton fibers is taken out, the seed is used to extract cotton seed oil. Cotton has been cultivated in India since ancient times. Excavations in Indus Valley civilization have shown the use of cotton in those days. India is the third largest producer of cotton after China and USA. Cotton grows well in the drier parts of the black cotton soil of the Deccan Plateau. Get to know more. Beverages refer to the drinking food, like tea, coffee and cocoa. These are grown exclusively in tropical and subtropical zones. But they are consumed all over the world. Jute. Jute is known as golden fiber all over the world. Jute fiber is taken from the bark of jute plant, which is submerged in water for 2 to 3 weeks. Jute plant are grown in well-drained sandy and loamy soil, warm humid climate and an average monthly rainfall of about 10 centimeters during the growing season. Jute is mainly used for making sacks and other furnishing items. Nut plastic has given a setback to jute industry. India is the leading producer jute in the world. Bangladesh, Myanmar, Nepal, Vietnam, Uzbekistan are other producer of jute. China grows a substitute of jute called kenaf. In India, it is grown in West Bengal, Bihar, Assam, Odisha and Meghalaya. Rubber. Rubber is the latex of the tree named Hava brasiliensis in botany. It is elastic, resistant to water, and non-conductor of electricity. It is useful substance for waterproofing, insulating and as a strong elastic substance. Most of the rubber comes from the Hava trees in the Amazonian rainforests. The temperature for the Hava tree should not go below 21 degrees Celsius and above 27 degrees Celsius. It requires plenty of rainfall, usually from 2030 to 2540 millimeters. It needs a rich soil to grow. Rubber estates need a large and efficient labor force for extraction of the latex. Thailand is the largest producer of rubber, followed by China, Indonesia, Malaysia, India, and Vietnam. However, Sri Lanka, Nigeria, Liberia and Brazil are among the minor producers of rubber. In India, Kerala is the largest producer of rubber. Searching dictionary. Agriculture, growing of crops, vegetables, fruits, etc., along with cattle rearing and dairy farming. Mixed farming, growing of crops and rearing of animals on the same farm. Dairy farming, rearing of dairy cattle. Horticulture, specialized farming of fruits and flowers. Latex, milky fluid collected from rubber trees. Sericulture, the breeding of silkworms for the purpose of obtaining silk. Food crop, a crop that provides for the principal meal of a community. Cash crop, crops that are used for profit rather than consumption by a family. Cash crops of foods, like tobacco, indigo, rice, sugar and maize. Agriculture development. Over the past 200 years, nearly every part of the developed world has seen an agriculture transformation. As farming improved, so did incomes, health, and economies. More recently, we have seen amazing progress in parts of the developing world. During the Green Revolution, which took place from 1960s to 1980s, improvements in staple crops such as maize, wheat, and rice helped double the amount of food produced and drove broader development throughout much of Asia and Latin America. There were also some serious unintended consequences, particularly regarding the environment, that left us with important lessons for today. But the efforts demonstrated that large-scale progress is possible. From 1980 to 2004, many countries cut the percentage of development assistance for agriculture from more than 16% to less than 4%. In addition, agriculture accounted for only 4% of public spending in developing countries. The stagnation and decline in agricultural productivity was felt most throughout much of Africa and South Asia. Today, the average farmer in sub-Saharan Africa gets just over a ton of cereal per acre, while the average Indian farmer gets about twice that, the average Chinese farmer about 5 times that, and the average American farmer about 7 times that amount. Why is there such disparity? Farmers in other regions have tools, techniques, and resources that farmers in Africa do not. In the last several years, the global community has begun to refocus its attention on agriculture. Most of the countries in the world are making earnest efforts to increase crop yields to fulfill the needs of the growing population. It can be obtained through increasing lands under cultivation, growing more than one crop in a year, improving irrigation facilities, using organic and chemical fertilizer, using high-yielding variety (HYV) seeds. Agriculture in India. About 70% of Indian population lives in villages and depends directly or indirectly on agriculture. Agriculture in India is mainly of intensive subsistence type. In the last few decades, there has been a change in view towards commercial farming. Literacy in India is very low and our farmers have been using age-old practices passed down by their ancestors. The land has been divided and subdivided into small plots due to inheritance law. This has led to small and uneconomic land holdings. Agriculture depends largely on monsoon rain, which is uneven, uncertain and irregular. Most of the agricultural work, like tillage, irrigation, harvesting and threshing, is done by animals and peasant family members. The farmer faces many problems such as unable to buy enough agricultural inputs due to fund shortage, dependence on money lenders or banks to borrow money, dependence upon various cooperative societies to fulfill their needs. However, a new agricultural policy was adopted in 1964-65 under the name Green Revolution. It was suggested that farm output should be raised through the use of high-yielding variety (HYV) seeds, chemical fertilizer and pesticide. Further, it was also suggested that modern agricultural implements, machinery, multiple cropping, irrigation facilities and agricultural credit should be made use of. This program was initially started in the areas where irrigation and rainfall conditions were favorable. The 7 districts selected were West Godavari, Shahabad, Raipur, Thanjavur, Ludhiana, Aligarh and Pali. In the next phase, the program was extended to the whole country. There is another organization formed to improve farmers' condition, like Organic Farming Association of India, OFAI. The Organic Farming Association of India is the country's only organization for grassroots organic farmers. Since Indian agriculture continues to remain a source of livelihood for mostly small farmers and peasants, OFAI membership reflects this ground reality as well. Word to know: agriculture is the process of land cultivation, growing of crops, fruits and vegetables, and rearing of livestock. There are various factors affecting agriculture such as climate conditions, relief, soil and economic factors. The main types of agriculture are nomadic farming, shifting cultivation, intensive subsistence cultivation, extensive cultivation, plantation cultivation, mixed farming, dairy farming, gardening and horticulture farming, and cooperative farming. Crops are classified under the following categories: food crops, rice, wheat, maize etc. Commercial crops, fruits, spices, sugarcane, etc. Beverages crop, tea, coffee, cocoa, etc. And fiber crops, cotton, jute, silk, etc. Most of the countries in the world are making earnest efforts to increase crop yields to fulfill the needs of the growing population. About 70% of the Indian population live in village and depend directly or indirectly on agriculture.